Hi and welcome to the Sonji Land Show where everybody's upside down. And today's episode is about a new exciting project that I got involved with that will also offer a new opportunity for you to get more involved in the handstand community. We're running a crowdfunding campaign on Kickstarter right now, and we're using this episode for you to get to know more about the project and the people who stand behind it. And we hope that you are just as excited as we are and get involved.
Every day is upside down in Sonji Land. We live in different places, and we each have our own background. But we have one thing in common. We're crazy about handstands. We want to connect, and we know we're not the only ones out there. So we decided to start something new.
I would say I'm a very creative person. So my background's actually in art. So I used to do a lot of painting, and I had art in galleries and whatnot. So I love art and being artistic, and I've never really had a creative outlet, at least in the last few years. And then I was going to you, Elise, about random creative ideas I had about making handstand merch and clothing and just random bursts of inspiration. And she was like, wait, hold up. I got a good idea. You might actually like this. And I was like, okay, what do you mean? And then a week later we had a call and she's like, I'm thinking about, launching a handstand magazine. I'm like, whoa, wait, what? And then she's like, I think you'd be a good fit here. You could do the social media. And that's kind of how it all happened.
That was completely your idea, Elisa.
Well, it was kind of, I can't actually pinpoint when it started. I just remember I always wanted to be a publisher and an editor, but then I studied something that wasn't going to bring me there, and then I ended up somewhere completely else. But this idea of I really love bringing people together, and I really love facilitating what people do, because there's so many incredibly creative people in all kinds of fields. And I just found myself in hand balancing. And so that was the obvious idea. It was I know so many interesting hand balancers. I know so many people have really great things to say. And then that just kind of started happening. Yeah, then I met Sonia at a Handstand Factory intensive. And it was
before though.
Yeah, we'd known each other and just kind of seen each other online as well. Mm-hmm. And then when I actually began thinking, okay, I actually want to do this, I actually want to make a magazine, then I got in touch with Sonia and I was like, here's this thing. And she was on board immediately, and then brought Katie on board.
Remember we had that conversation, and I think it was in May or June, where we had a call and we were actually going to start already, but then it was just too messy.
Yeah, it was a few months. So
yeah, and I mean, in a sense, I'm just incredibly lucky. This, I wouldn't have been able to obviously get this project rolling by myself at all. So then by the time I'd spoken to Sonia, and then Sonia had spoken to Katie, who's an amazing designer, and then at the point where we're actually okay, the three of us are actually going to do this. Oh God, what are we doing? And then we brought Emma on board to kind of help us do the public side of things, I would say.
To answer your question, I think the main driver for me is it's really a creative outlet. And I'm also super passionate about handstands. So it's really a way to connect other people, because I've met so many friends and I've met you guys through handstands, which is so crazy to me because it's such a niche thing, but it's so nice to have a community.
Well, I think the community aspect is probably the biggest driver for all of us, is it?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's really interesting with hand balancing in particular, all the different, we've spoken about, there's so many different communities or people coming from so many different backgrounds that creates a very it's a very unique thing. You know, we're all coming to the same thing from and connecting people literally from all over the world and from all different disciplines. And I think being able to bring that and show that in a physical, like tangible format, you know, is going to be really, really interesting.
Yeah. For me, what's been really interesting as we started putting together the content and started to go public as well, is seeing how so many people that we don't know get involved and have such great ideas. And suddenly we have writers who do handstands, like professional writers, contact us and submit articles. And it's just so awesome.
I am incredibly just fascinated by hand balancing, but also by hand balancers. There's so much that goes into this art and this craft and this practice that it's just kind of how many people can actually get that good at it, because it requires so much. And I mean, to facilitate that and to kind of bring that out and to show that, I think is really what inspires me a lot. And to see all the different facets and all the different ways you can actually go about things as well. And that conversation thing, I think, is really important to me. The put things out there and see what the community or other, you know, other practitioners actually do with it. That's what I love about it. It's timeless in a way, because, you know, someone can put it on a shelf and forget about it. And then in 20, 30 years, or they'll throw it in some box and it goes up at the attic, and in 20, 30 years, their kids find it and they're like, what is this? That doesn't happen with an Instagram post. And I find that really interesting as well, to kind of, it might get forgotten, it might get put somewhere, but it doesn't go away until all of the issues have been, I don't know, burned somewhere or something.
It's like a time capsule. It's capturing
Yeah.
time and like what we're going through very specifically through the last year with COVID, and even how this is like such an emerging discipline in itself. Like it's capturing the energy of like a really kind of a fresh thing, and it'll be really interesting to see like how we document it now versus how maybe it gets documented a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years from now, and to see how the culture grows.
Yeah.
We could create one.
There's another thing that I also found really interesting when we were on the podcast, and Mikael Christiansen said there's something about this thing of a magazine, because we're actually actively searching people out, that we have a platform where we can actually bring people in that don't normally talk that much about their practice, which I find super interesting, because there's the people that, you know, it's either their coaches or their performers, and they put themselves a lot on Instagram because they have to, because it's their livelihood, or because they want to share, or. But there's also so many practitioners that have a lot to say or think a lot about what they do, but they have no platform, or they don't want, or it's just not their thing to make it public. But for us to be able to actually coax that out and go directly to them and say, you're doing something interesting, tell us about it, and actually give them like a few full spreads.
Mm-hmm. It's giving everyone a voice in the community. Yeah, I mean, I think like the time capsule, like capturing a moment in time, and then just like the tangible qualities of it. And I think like having that tactile object, like even hand balancing in itself is such a tactile, like the surfaces, the floors, like everything is so tactile. And I think it can really speak to, you know, hand balancers in general, and like our interests. Like I think it lends itself to it really well.
Honestly, like I come from a background of like lifting heavy weights and weightlifting. And when I do that, I kind of feel like more masculine, quote unquote. But when I'm upside down hand balancing, I like kind of have a more like feminine energy. And I know that sounds kind of strange, but when I'm like upside down playing like my favorite music, I'm like making pretty shapes with my body, I kind of feel like a piece of art. And I think we have a post on social media that says your body is your canvas. And I really feel true to that, because when I am upside down, I kind of feel like a piece of art, and it's really fun to like express myself upside down without actually saying anything. So that's why I'm like so passionate with the magazine, because I do think there's so much art that's involved in handstands, and I love art. So
Biggest
That's just it. That's our answer.
I think we've said enough. Just our reaction. We don't need to speak to it.
So much cool stuff.
So much cool stuff. The first issue is themed Common Ground, and we've looked for so many people with so many different backgrounds, and we are showcasing them to write about their perspectives on handstands, on how they train, on technical differences, basically. So we have gymnastics, we have contortion, calisthenics and street workout, we have circus, and then we have like stuff you wouldn't think about, like high diving, equestrian vaulting, dance,
And we
pole dance.
ended up, we had so many that we actually had to, when we realized that, oh, and we have all these other segments we also want to cover, that's when we kind of realized, oh, we're going to have to shorten this
and make this a chapter for every issue.
Called Common Ground.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling this is going to happen with every issue and every topic, that we'll just get so overexcited and find so much that we're like, oh, this is going to have to be a standing segment now.
Yeah.
And then the other segments are, we have a few. We have weight shift is one of them that we've spoken about. I think it's basically people who either want, are hobbyist or amateur hand balancers, and they go and say, okay, I want to become a coach, or I want to become a professional performer, and we kind of showcase how they did that. How did they go from I hand balance in my bedroom 5 days a week to I joined a circus school and became a circus artist, or I didn't even join a circus school, I just learned on my own and became a performer. Or we have another interesting one. Are we saying names of people already that were?
Sure, why not?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about your interview with Yuval?
Oh yeah, Yuval told me about how he transitioned from being a circus artist, a performer, to a coach, because that's a transition that a lot of people don't make that easily. But he's like the coach of the coaches. And then we have Sev, who started as a hobby, I guess, and then directly went into performing without even having a one-arm handstand. So the interesting thing about her is that she developed her own style and her own art without ever thinking about her skill level, which is super inspiring.
Yeah, just drawing on really many different things from other personal practices as well. And I think that's a really interesting thing about performing, is like you have the skill, but then also what a lot of people don't realize if they don't perform or don't perform yet is like there's so much other things that also go into performing. It's your stage presence. Do you have anything else you want to bring into it? There's do you have a story to tell? Do you have something to say? Why are you doing it? What's your motivation? There's so much that you have to convey. And I think that's really interesting to kind of see how and what you need to actually get there. What's other segments? We have the Nerd Corner.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. All research.
And I also want to say one of the things I'm really, really excited about is we have Garage Gym Girl, aka Kirsty Grossard.
Yeah.
And she is doing a comic. If you know her on Instagram, she does the thing she calls badly drawn handstands, but they're not badly drawn at all. They're actually amazing. They're so cute. And yeah, I'm really excited. We're gonna have her make a comic strip for each issue, loosely based around the theme of the issue. And that's one of the things I'm really looking forward to.
We should talk about the Kickstarter.
We should talk about the Kickstarter.
Yeah, we have a Kickstarter campaign going that we need your help with. And speaking of Garage Gym Girl, one of the tiers, or like one of the, how do you call that?
Rewards. So if you basically support the Kickstarter and make sure that we can raise the amount of money we need to go into print for this, you get certain rewards. One of them is, of course, getting the magazine, because that's the main thing we're doing. But then we also have beautiful notebooks going and postcard packs. But most importantly, we have this little booklet from Kirsty, or Garage Gym Girl, and it's really nice and petite, but it has 20 pages of the handstand journey. Will I show a sneak peek inside?
Yeah.
Start of it. So that's basically the journey, and she takes you through it, very nicely illustrated, and I have to say, it's really well written as well. It's yeah, she's just a really, really good teacher. She thinks a lot about how she teaches, and especially with beginners, I feel she has so much empathy and understanding of what they're going through, and that's really kind of distilled in her little booklet. And she was so kind to offer it to us to produce it as a print version for this Kickstarter. So that's really exciting.
Yeah. So to sum it up, there are so many cool things in issue 1, but in order to bring it to life, we're running this crowdfunding campaign, and there are tons of rewards on there. But if you want to support us, the link is going to be down below.
Submissions.
Give us everything.
And that's your photos.
Well, I mean, I suppose there's multiple different channels. I think the main thing is what you can do. You can message us on Instagram if you're interested, and you'll probably hear from Emma. And then either, if you're unsure, Emma can probably tell you where to go next, or you go straight to the website, and on the website there is nice forms that take you very easily through how to submit either your written articles or your photography or your illustration or whatever else it is you do art-wise, submission-wise.
Yeah, we take everything that can go into a magazine format. I was actually thinking also of like people could submit paper cuts, you know?
Yes.
Things like that. There's so much you can do with paper. But anyway,
Yeah.
we take everything.
I found an origamist who does who did a hand balancer in origami, which was really cool.
Well,
and then I found another person who does like wire artwork. So he makes sculptures out of wire, and he also had a hand balancer in there. And I was like, damn, how do we get you into our pages?
You know, back in the day, you'd have to submit your film slides and mail them to magazines, and then we'd physically go through with little slide viewers and view them, and the ones that we preferred we would then scan in and then view. So it was like a lot different than the digital content. So I love the idea, if anyone wants to submit like a physical drawing,
yeah,
you can get professional scanning and photography done to like bring that to life in the magazine.
Yeah, if we get successful on issue 1, we can see if we can organize a PO box where people can send their the little negatives. Yep.
We already have content for like the next 3.
Yeah.
The amount of content we have that's coming in, and the amount of ideas and things that we can speak to, I feel like there's endless possibilities.
Absolutely. I think if we even just look at, I mean, we've only just started, we've only just gone online, and the amount of submissions we're already getting of really interesting, you know, written work, photography, illustrations even. If that's going to keep going like that, plus all the ideas that we have and people we actually want to reach out to, I think the problem will be keeping it small per issue and not the other way around. So that's really exciting to see that, how endless it is, how much there is to say.
Yeah, I mean, essentially that's what happened with issue 1, is we had too much content and we had to narrow it down and extend the segment.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's ever going to be a problem in terms of content. It's more like, okay, we're trying to get the project funded, and that's going to determine more or less how far we'll be able to go with it.
Yeah. First, we have to get the first print run funded, and then we need to just make sure that we have enough readers. As long as we have people wanting to read about handstands, I think we'll be happy to keep bringing it to people.
Everyone is as excited as we are, then it's going to be a wild success.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy.
Years of issues to come.
You just excited my Alexa. Oh no.
Alexa's excited about the Handstand magazine.
I'm excited to discover new aspects of the handstanding community and for it to be presented in ways that a fast-paced social media platform can't. And I'm also very excited about seeing the hand dancing community promoted in an inclusive and expansive way that go beyond what meets the eye.
Just the idea of a handstand magazine with awesome stories and theories being delivered to your door, I just think that's a really cool idea.
I believe this is the first handstand magazine ever, and I love reading magazines.
So many people have already contributed to the content of our first couple of issues. Get on board and help us tell the stories within this ever-growing, awesome community.
Bye. Bye.
So I hope you learned more about us and about the whole idea, and I hope you like it. We only have like 10 days left, and chances are if you're watching this video later that it's even less days to get our Kickstarter funded to actually go into print. So please head over to the Kickstarter page. We have the link down below and get involved. And if you have any written work or photography or art that you want to submit to become part of the content of the magazine, go over to the website. It's also linked down below. And we appreciate anybody who plays a part in this. It's never too late to do what you love, and I'll see you next time at the Zombieland Show.
I just realized my room looks like I'm a 12-year-old girl. With my like single bed.